Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner? He said to him, Rise and go. Your faith has made you well. 9 out of 10 received the gift of Christ and went along their merry way. 1. Just 1. 10 piddly%. Come and give thanks. Lays himself at the feet of Jesus in humility and in gratitude. All 10 have been cleansed. All 10 have seen their lives turned upside down and changed, and they are made whole for the first time in who knows how long. But only 1 comes back. And he's the Samaritan. He's the foreigner. He's the half-breed. He's the one who has God's worship backwards and turned around and off to the wrong side. And he is the one who comes back. And he thanks Jesus at his own feet. Well, if I was there, I would have been the one. I mean, I like to think so. I like to think that I, give credit where credit is due, and I'm a nice guy, and I kind of work on that, and I'm the guy who always thanks the waiter for doing his job, and somebody does well by me in the store, and I go to the manager, and I just want you to know so-and-so did really well by me, and a lot of people want to complain, but, just so you know, they will. And that's good, and that's nice, and that's a proper sort of thing to do. And yet, I need to be real careful about assuming that I would be the good one in this story. Because I've got to be honest with you. There are times where I know, just like these guys, that the power of God has been manifest in my life, period, full stop. No way around it. I prayed, it was answered. I had a need, he delivered. And at the time, my heart was full. I rejoiced. I gave thanks. But that was like last week. What have you done for me lately? I gotta say, I've known this in my life. I've never been healed from leprosy. But has God answered a prayer? Profoundly, dramatically even? Yes. But just in the day, today, hasn't he offered blessings and gifts every single day? Today, to be perfectly honest, I told the 9 o'clock service, it was a little, it wasn't bad. It was just kind of, I felt a half step behind, and whenever I needed to turn right, I turned left, and everything was just kind of in the wrong spot, and I just couldn't quite get my head wrapped around it or get back into speed. Did he not wake me up this morning? Do I not have life and breath? Are we not here, each of us? Did he not bring you from the moment of conception through your birth in your life to this place and this point, right here, right now, showering you daily, moment by moment even, with his provision and with his care and with his love and with his gifts? What do I have that has not come from him? What do I possess that I some way, somehow made through my own sheer will and effort? Gonna make that heartbeat today. Gonna make me have 5 kids and a wife. Everything that I have, everything that I am. Assuming the same goes for you. What are they other than gifts from a gracious and loving God? And yet, if I could describe every single day and every single moment as this gracious and powerful gift, am I more like the one guy who gave thanks at the feet of Jesus, or am I more like the 9 who went, "This is great, thank you, see you later"? And there are those moments. And there are those moments where I know for a fact, thank you, Lord. Yes. I'm overcome. I am humbled. And I am so, so grateful. But those moments fade into the past and become abstract within our memories. And our gratitude then, does it not become abstract as well? The fierceness of that moment is lost. The edges are blunted over time. In the moment, we were so thankful and so grateful as though our hearts would burst with praise. But then the day-to-day and the in and out and just a normal life and blah, blah, blah. And I feel more like the 9 than I do the 1. If I'm honest, and I need to be real careful before I put myself in that story and assume that I was the one who threw himself at the feet of Jesus. Because how many times have I done it? How many times did I? But then I walked away later and just sort of put that on the shelf or in my pocket. And, I mean, that was really great and all, but like that was last year, man. It was yesterday. What today? I mean, I got some needs. Let's get back on the clock here. You think this Samaritan, on day 2 of being made whole, was less thankful and less grateful? Go back for just a second. We've talked about leprosy before. I've tried to remind us that it was sort of a host of painful skin disease in the past. It wasn't necessarily what we would label as Hansen's disease today. But whatever it was contagious, it was painful, it was awful. And you were unclean. To the point where it alludes to this fact that the 10 lepers called out to Jesus from a distance. Hey, Jesus, we're over here. Why? Because they're not allowed to get any closer. Remember, these are the guys, they couldn't even come into town without ringing bells and shouting and saying, unclean, and I'm a leper, and everybody get out of the way. They have lost friends. They have lost family. They have lost their work, their provision, and everything. They're kicked out of society. And they are in daily, constant pain. Pain within their body and pain within their hearts. I am an outcast. I will never again hold my wife. I will never again touch the face of my children. I will never again have somebody look me in the eye. I will never again be anything other than this disease. I am not a man, I am a leper. In a moment, Jesus has healed me. In a moment, everything is upside down and backwards and put right again. The pain, gone. The disfigurement, gone. The skin, healed. The life, restored. Where's my family? I haven't seen them in years. I want to go home, and now I can't. I don't know how long these guys have been suffering. And all of a sudden, they're not lepers anymore. They're just people. They're not kicked out of society anymore. They're going to go home. They're going to be just like everyone else. They're going to be without pain of body. They're going to be without pain of spirit. The power of God is undeniable in this moment. Oh, thank my random molecules. No. No lucky stars. No happenstance or randomness of chance. They called and cried out to Jesus. He said, go, show yourself to the priest. The one guy in town who is allowed to call you clean so that everybody else has to listen. And by the time they get there, they are clean indeed. They have been healed. And by healing, not just a physical infirmity, they are actually made whole again. Whole people with real lives. One comes back. That is the enormity and the gravity of the situation. One comes back. I don't want to be like that 9. And yet I acknowledge the times that I am. I want to be like that 1. But I confess to the ways in which I'm not. Just as the Lord has offered His blessings and mercies and gifts, every day, every moment. Part of those gifts is to be right here and right now. Whatever has brought us to this moment in time, however goofy or off-putting or discombobulated the morning has been, no matter how rocky or rough or dark or dim the week has been, or the month or the year or whatever it might be, right here, right now, the gift of life, and He has brought you here. And together, you and I, and together in His very presence, for He has promised to be here. We can be grateful. We can be thankful. It is right and good in all ways and everywhere to give thanks to you, and it's true, and we're going to say that in a little bit. But we are not everywhere and always. We are here and now. So regardless of us being the 9 or the 1 at this moment in this place, we might remember, if only for a moment, maybe just one of those blessings. And feel that gratitude rekindle in our hearts. Maybe just one of those answered prayers. Feel that sense of thankfulness burn again. We might throw ourselves at the feet of Jesus, just as the one man did. We could and should do it at all times, but there is nothing stopping us from doing it right here and right now. I'll tell you what, it is really hard to wander off and away from the Lord when we are down at His feet in thanksgiving and praise. It is very hard to wander astray, to allow our hearts and our lives to be pulled away from Him and find ourselves who knows where when we are down instead on our knees in thanksgiving. There in 2 Timothy, we're reminded just like last week, doctrine is important, but it is subordinate. It is supportive. Coming from the guy who loves doctrine. Coming from the guy who loves to teach doctrine. I'm telling you. He's telling you stop arguing about words. Stop arguing about nuance. Stop arguing about detail. A heart that is focused on the Lord, that is sharing in His death, will share in His life. And the doctrine can help shape us and form us and guide us and keep us together. But it's not a thing in and of itself. It's supposed to lead us to something. It's supposed to lead us to Him. Even in the Old Testament, you caught what happened there. The very people of God He's chosen, they had been kicked out. They had their rears kicked. And they've been picked up and carried away, some of them no better than slaves, into a pagan land. God's holy city is lost. It is destroyed. And Jeremiah writes to these exiles, and what does he say? Bloom where you're planted. Don't just sit there ticking off hours. Don't just sit there twiddling your thumbs. Don't just sit there thinking, well, it's all over now. Increase, get married, build a life. Pray for your city, for when it is blessed, you shall be blessed too. Don't dwell on the fact that things are hard right now. Don't let the fact that you are in exile pull you away from who the Lord is, what He has done in the past to your forefathers, and what He will do for you one day. Our psalm of praise seems really happy and clappy until you get at the end, and all of a sudden you realize things must be really miserable right now. How can you put those two together? Praise the Lord. To Him, all you people of the earth. Oh, and I'm really been chastened by you. Because at our worst, He is at His best. And even in our darkest, his light is still far too bright. Those blessings are not negated. They don't stop. They were not removed as though they never happened. Even if things are hard and miserable and difficult and you feel disciplined, chastened, out on a limb, hung out to dry. Did he not wake you up this morning? Did he not bring you to this point, provide for you? Is your life still not filled with his daily and moment by moment blessings and care and provision? Are you not a testimony yourself of the power of God manifested in your life? So don't be like the 9, be like the 1. 10%. Perhaps it's the narrow way. That's the way we ought to go. Right here. Right now. A time of thanksgiving and praise. Without that, there is no point to the service. There is no reason to be here. Thankfulness and praise. Who God is. Of what he has done. Of what he shall do. And what he offers to us even in this very moment. The best of what we have. Inside and out, body, mind, and spirit. That it would be true for the rest of our lives, but we've got the time right now, together in the very presence of God. That we might be grateful. We might be down on our knees, that we might gather at his feet. For now is the time to praise. Now is the time to worship. And now is the time to give thanks.